A boot is really something that can make or break your day in the mountains. Today, let's talk about boots for mountaineering and climbing. Hey guys, welcome to the high ground. My name is Fabio, and today we will be talking about boots for mountaineering and climbing. Now, a little bit for my background. I was in the Swiss mountain guide course. I have set it on pause now because I got injured pretty badly. If you're interested in the topic, I'll give you a link in the video description below. And I have quite some experience with being out in the mountains in different environments. And this is a small selection of the boots I wear. Let's go through a few basic principles. So, a boot is always a technical aid for you for being in the mountains. The more proficient you are and the higher skill level you have, with the less technical boot you can get away. There might be climbing routes where people already have to wear rock shoes, while somebody else who is a very good climber might still wear approach shoes or alpine boots or something similar. And it is like that for basically all mountaineering. The more technical you get, generally the more technical boot you will need, but it is compensated by a lot of skill when you're really, well, familiar with being in the mountains and if you're very proficient with what you're doing there. Maybe a few words on what is missing in this selection. We don't have rock boots here, so proper climbing shoes, because as said, we're talking a little bit more about boots here. And the other thing that is missing are boots for high altitude. If you're really looking at higher mountains in the Himalayas, in Northern America, or in the Russian area, then you might need high altitude boots. I personally don't have enough experience with high altitude climbing to really speak on it because I would just be speaking out of my ass. So I'll stick with what I know, and this is general mountaineering, which you will have in the Alps, but also in the lower 48 in the US or anything else. Okay, so then let's start from very light to heavier so that we can save us the grand finale until the end. These shoes are not even mountain boots, these are trail running shoes. I still have them included because they can be nice for approaches when you actually walk up to a climb. They are super easy to pack, they are lightweight, and they really have something to them. What trail running shoes generally don't have is a climbing zone in front. I will show it to you with the proper approach shoe. So any approach shoe has a flat zone here in front that is meant for climbing, for stepping on small rock ledges. And the main property that this has is it is flat and so dirt doesn't stick to it. The front of these boots with the very heavy profile of the trail running shoes, I call them boots, but it's really a shoe, it can get really slippery. And one time I really had a bad experience with them. I was going over mud and then I was climbing up a rock and really one foot slipped. I mean, I was still holding on to the rock with the other three, but there I noticed that this is really a dangerous thing. So I generally wear them for hiking, for endurance training. I don't like to wear them anymore when I have to scramble over rock, etc. If that is the case, then these shoes come into play. Those are proper approach shoes. They also have a heavier profile, already a little bit worn down from using them, but they really have a climbing zone in front. They are also a little bit heavier, but not a lot. It's really only a small tiny bit, but these are the boots or shoes that I wear for approaches, for ridge scrambles, etc. So I really like them. I already wore them a lot. You can see they're also a little bit stiffer. They're not super stiff, but in this area they're quite compact compared to these boots that really fold in easily, but have a little bit more spring to them for the running. So if you're going with low height shoes, then you basically have the choice between those two types. Then we're already going into the area of proper boots. And let's start with this one. This is my general purpose mountain boot. Now, to be fair, it's pretty heavy for a general purpose mountain boot. It is already capable of taking semi-auto crampons, so just with a lever back here and with a bucket in front. I usually don't wear them on glaciers. I prefer my boots to be a little bit higher on the glacier just to avoid getting wet socks. They also have a climbing zone in the front, of course, provide quite some stability, have protection from rocks, and as you can see, they're of course quite stiff, so you can hardly bend them. It's still comfortable to walk with, but it's of course not like with these. My wife didn't have something like that, and she bought herself higher approach shoes. They're basically as high as this boot, but in a layout like an approach shoe. That's also a good solution. I just went with them because I like the little bit more technical aspect. Then we're really getting away from general mountaineering boots into proper glacier mountaineering boots. Now here we have a pair from my wife because they're a complete standard boots. They don't have any gaiter around here. You can see they are now full auto. That means they have a lip here and a lip here where they can take semi-auto crampons. So you don't have a bucket here, but just a lever. I generally, for an ordinary mountaineering where I have to walk over a glacier, I still use a bucket because the front part here, it gets worn down pretty quickly if you walk a lot with them. And I don't like relying on it, but I also don't like resoling my boots every season. I mean, that's just too expensive and you can only do it for a certain amount of time. These boots now have a very similar application compared to these boots. They have a little bit more protection. You can see this. They have a gaiter on top so that no snow falls into the boot. And these are actually the boots that I wear for 80% to almost 90% of my mountaineering tours if we don't count ski touring boots in winter. You can see that by the color they have. They had the ordinary orange, like any Scarpa boot, and they're pretty bleached out, so that's just a high altitude sun. I want to stay a little bit with that boot. It of course also has a lip in the front and a lip in the back, so you can put levers in front and back. You don't need a bucket crampon. For the same reasons as I just said, I generally use bucket crampons, but crampons are a totally different topic. These boots are quite stiff, so you can't bend them at all. They are great for cutting steps on a glacier with the boot. Whatever I do in the Alps, I almost always wear them. Whenever I have glacier contact, or let me define it negatively, as long as I am not in the north face or have really long streaks where I have to climb vertical stuff, with crampons, then I wear these boots. If I really have to climb steep stuff with crampons, then we're at these ones, but we'll get to them a little bit later. But anything else, I'm wearing these. Now, they obviously don't have a gaiter all over the boots compared to these, but they are pretty well insulated. They're called Mont Blanc Pro, and you can already hear they are made for altitudes up to the Mont Blanc, and you can easily wear them. So if you're a beginner and you ask me what you might need really as a first step to get into the mountaineering or get into mountaineering, get something like this or something like this, because it will really get you the capability to do anything you want. You can ice climb with them. I mean, you are not forced to buy another pair of boots to climb ice. They can really handle anything you throw at them. Maybe for the exceptions with really cold north faces in winter and stuff, but we will get to that. The gaiters are only in the upper area. They are more meant to really keep the snow out of your boot, as I said. That can be quite important, not only because you don't want to have wet boots, but if you are actually going in front of the party. I mean, that's of course something you typically do when you guide, then you're walking in front, right? You have to break trailers, so you think in quite a lot, and these boots can take that. Okay, now jumping to our most technical boot, the Phantom Guide. And if you know a little bit about boots, you can see how old school this is, because this is the previous to last generation. This is a very technical boot. It is actually lighter than this boot. It weighs less. It has a full-on gaiter, and I use it exclusively for really difficult long routes where I really want to be protected from any moisture and also a little bit of the cold, because they're quite well insulated, but also when I have to climb really technical stuff. Yeah, a few examples are north face of the Aiguille du Midi, the Frendo Pillar, Miller Pillar, Pitts Palu, stuff like that. So really harder routes where you just want to have a little bit more technical reserve. Since they're a little bit lighter, it's easier to stand on your front points for longer. So, and these boots, I really exclusively wear them with front lever crampons. But then we're also in an area where we have to discuss monopoint, dual point crampons. If that doesn't tell you anything, then that's fine. I would say you only need these boots if you have very cold feet, if you want to do a lot of vertical climbing, also multi-pitch ice climbing, or if you're doing really harder stuff. Other than that, it's really not necessary to invest in them. You can see they have this very sturdy gaiter, and below there they have the ordinary boot. You can close it up with laces, and then you just put the gaiter on top. And that's it. In newer times, there were a lot of different ways how to build this zipper. The generation after this had it going around. Not a big fan of that. That zipper broke with a friend of mine who was guiding a North Face, and he actually got frozen toes. So, but these boots with the full gaiter on, as said, they're really something very specific, and I would say you don't need them in the beginning. If I would need to rate the 3 types of boots that a beginner should wear, and we're now talking not only for really walking in the mountains, but really with tours with glacier contact, then I would say start with these boots, then go to an easy approach shoe, and then to a general purpose mountaineering with no Glacier contact boot. Afterwards, you can go with these, and then at the end, you can get yourself some trail running boots. Okay, I hope you found that little overview helpful. As said, it's really a spectrum from very untechnical, light, almost no hold, up to very stiff, very technical boots. As you might see, most of my boots are Scarpa. This is not because La Sportiva doesn't build good boots. I just like the fitting of Scarpa more. They just fit me better than La Sportiva. And this is why I have mainly Scarpa boots. But nothing to say against La Sportiva. You can see my wife wears La Sportiva. My trail running boots are from La Sportiva. So these are all reputable manufacturers, and you can't go wrong with them. Maybe to bash a few manufacturers, what I don't like in terms of boots is Mammut, is Arc'teryx, although I love the other stuff from Arc'teryx. I'm not a big fan of Meindl. I think they should stay with, well, they maybe should stay with their lane, more with the hiking and trekking boots. But I certainly have some friends who wear them. I can't say a lot about Lova, but it might be the same with as for Meindl. So if you go with Scarpa or La Sportiva, you can't go wrong, and you should, between those two manufacturers, find something that fits your foot. Okay, yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for your time. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you're interested in other gear overviews or a detailed review on anything that you see here, please let me know. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. Follow the channel, and we will see us next time.